Good morning, everybody. Yesterday, I don't know if anybody of you know this guy, Andrew Cohen. I've seen some of his reports on Paulick Report. Again, Paulick Report does a good job racing and some harness racing. They're still a little green around the gills when it comes to, the intricacies of harness racing. But anyway, this gentleman put out the name of the article is, if you're looking for it, on Paulick Report is called Keeping Pace, a Welcome Clapback in Massachusetts. Really doesn't describe what he's talking about. He's got a couple of different points he's making here. He's talking about thoroughbreds first, and now he goes into Taylor versus Gural, an update. You're all familiar with the defamation case by Howard Taylor against Jeff Gural. We had talked about it. I had talked about it. Specifically after the crap happened when Tony Zubkov called me to protect Howard Taylor. You all saw what we've put out there since the Jeff Gillis wiretaps. Along with that came more information in regards to guys like Nick DeVita, Eric Prevost, Howard Taylor, a few other trainers on that who got buy report from Equistology on who purchased BB3 in the year of 2018-ish. And in the amounts, some of them frightening amounts. We're not going to get into that yet, specifically Nick DeVita, who's still racing in 2 states and still holds a USTA membership in good standing. Well done, Mr. Williams and the SRIF. I hope you're looking into it because you haven't done shit so far. Anyway, this is an update as to what I touched on, where the Taylor versus Gural lawsuit for defamation. A couple of the accusations have been dropped and it's been reconfigured. I believe there's only 3 points left, according to how this judge went over it. U.S. District Judge Joel Slomsky. He's a President Bush, George W. appointee. But there was a motion to dismiss. So he had to go over it. The plaintiff, Howard Taylor, had adequately alleged that the defendant's communications in statement number 1 is defamatory. Statement number 1 being what, if you remember, 60 Minutes, that whole time frame surrounding that, in which finally we heard about Jeff Gural banning Howard Taylor from the Meadowlands racetrack for using EPO and the such, and he's not going to have it. Howard Taylor came back with, that's defamation. I've never used anything like that. Then he tries to go on, remember, and says that EPO and BB3 are not the same thing. Actually, they are. It's a mimetic peptide, which mimics the same. It's the same, basically. I call it the way to understand it. It's the generic version of EPO. Trying to mince and use that as an excuse for what you've done to the industry, Mr. Taylor. The fact that you still have a license is fucking embarrassing to the history of harness racing. And the fact that you've held such power over and such influence over certain people. We could go state by state and talk about this. But we're going to stick to what's going on here right now. He says, the judge wrote, moreover, the undisclosed facts on which statement 1 is seemingly based are defamatory because they affect the effect they would naturally engender in the minds of the average persons in the harness racing community would be devastating to Howard Taylor's reputation as a racehorse owner. Well, let's go back to 2018. What was Mr. Taylor doing? And I'm gonna lay this out for you people who they say you don't understand things, according to this judge. I think everyone's formed their opinion as to what Mr. Taylor is right now in harness racing. All right. But I'm going to lay out what I call his past performances. 2018, he, Joe Feraldo, and Mark Ford represented Mr. Nick Surik in an SBOINJ investigation hearing in which with Joe Trapanese, who was on the ground at the time, looking into the administration of EPO into a horse named Northern Virgin, where Nick Zurich was stabled. We all know the story. The horse was hidden, disappeared, blah, 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 whatever, okay? Who did it? The veterinarian that did it didn't do it anyway. And remember, 2018, Mr. Taylor defended Nick Zurich that he did not use EPO or have it administered to Northern Virgin, right? 2018. Now, at the same time, if you've been paying attention to what I've been putting out there, I've put out a list, a lengthy scrolling list, and then I did the screenshots of invoices from different accounts, specifically account number 705, Howard Taylor's main account, we'll call it. List of horses and what was purchased for them in the year of 2018. BB3, 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 BB3. Now, there's also another, I think totaling nearly 12 other different accounts, which Mr. Taylor is also attached with his partners to make billing easier, right? I keep looking at the wrong thing. I'm thinking the camera's up there. Anyway, thereby also implicating them for purchasing, because when you get billed for something, I don't want to hear that you didn't know. When it's going on for months and years, and you're getting the bills, you're getting an itemized invoice that says what this stuff is, what you purchased, and what your liability is as to paying for it. You bought it for your horse. It was billed to you. It was clearly made out to you. It was clearly explained to you in the itemization, and you paid it, and there's the canceled, whether it's checks, credit card. You didn't know. But remember, I didn't know. This is what Mr. Taylor leans on. I didn't know. Now, that was also in 2018. So you got all those partners. We see everybody recognizes the names of the horses who are racing on BB3 and the other crap, but we're going to concentrate on BB3 right here because this is what the defamation case leans on, that he was wrongfully accused by Mr. Gural of using BB3, right? And he's still going on. So I'll finish what Mr. Cohen says here. But Mr. Cohen, you did a good job, but you didn't do your due diligence and research exactly what's going on and how much other information is out there. He says the ruling is both a tactical and strategic victory for Taylor. To continue this and take this into court, remember everything that we've put out there, Mr. Gural can his defense attorney can bring with him. And I want to point these things out again. 2018 defends Nick Zurich in an EPO case. 2018, we have a laundry list of purchases of BB3. EPO. Don't care what you want to call it. It's tactical in the sense that it allows Taylor's attorneys to take depositions and conduct pretrial discovery in this case. Yeah, you should. You really should start doing some discovery. Something Gural's attorneys will be doing as well. Yeah, he's well aware of what's been put out there. He was well aware of it last year when he stood in front of the SBONJ and said, why do these people have their licenses still in the SBONJ didn't do shit? I'm not sorry, I keep saying SBONJ, but they were present, the NJRC. And that's where this case should be headed, toward a settlement that precludes a trial. Well, you're right, Mr. Cohen. Yes, but unless you're for some reason holding back what we already know, you're not fully informed. 2018, we have the purchases. 2018, we have him defending Nick Zurich. Last year was 2024, right? Gural goes on 60 Minutes and then bans all these people for the reasons which are obvious. Notice there's only one that's suing him. Nobody wants their dirty laundry out there, but Mr. Taylor wants to roll the dice. On February 15th, remember, he defended Nick Zurich. He has what I counted of in excess, if you want to add it all up, well, dozens of pages of BB3 purchases with partnerships. But just his one account, number 705, there are 7 pages of invoices and different horses, all of which, or almost all of which, were on BB3 in the year of 2018. So how many were there over the years? Remember, the packet of 5,007 invoices from Seth Fishman, which he turned in after he was imprisoned and was looking for proffer by offering more information to the government. He 5,007 pages of invoices. We also have Mr. Taylor's invoices dating back to the year of 2009 until 2019 when, the shit hit the fan, which is already out there for public viewing. Just nobody's looking at it. February 15th, 2024. Pay very close attention to this. Howard Taylor is an attorney. He holds licenses in every state in the country. When you sign your application for that license as a licensed attorney, you should understand that when you're in contract with anyone, you're to abide by their rules. It makes it very clear that you understand their rules. He wasn't licensed in the state of New Jersey as an attorney, from what I'm being told, and last I checked. But be as may, he goes on to say this in a DRF Harness article, February 15th, 2024. If I did, in quotes, have time to look through the 1,000 lines over 86 pages regarding the invoices. How would I know what BB3 is, or why would I question it? Said Taylor. The FBI went through my records with a fine-tooth comb, and they know I didn't do anything wrong, which is why they didn't do anything to me. Hear this guy, what he's saying? Read between the lines. Remember that he's saying he doesn't know what BB3 is, yet for years he was being billed for it in multiple accounts in which he handed this off to the FBI. But he was expecting nothing to ever happen in return, which it didn't at first. So I'm going to repeat this. How would I know what BB3 is, or why I would question it? So he's saying he was being billed for BB3 directly to his office. Remember what Seth Fishman says in his emails regarding the sale of BB3. Preferred and approved customers only. Right? Seth Fishman would only sell BB3 and told Lisa Gianelli it's only to be sold to approved customers, preferred customers who've been vetted and can be trusted, that they can purchase it and build them directly to, as in his case, his office in Pennsylvania, his law office. We have all the invoices, all the receipts, all the payments, all of the above, right? But he doesn't know. I could go over all the account numbers, but like I said, there's almost a dozen of them, 705, 706, I think 1164. I'm starting to memorize these, 2024, I don't know, 2022. But he didn't know. So not only was he being billed directly, multiple accounts, so were his partners. Maybe they didn't know. Maybe he said to them, well, you just better pay the bill and whatever. But the only way that you could obtain BB3 from Seth Fishman was to be approved by Seth Fishman and billed directly from eQuestology, clearly stated on the or printed on the invoices. You've all seen them if you've been watching what I'm doing, but I'm going to repeat it again. He's suing Jeff Gural for accusing him of doing what he clearly has admitted over time by defending a criminal, by the proof in the invoices in which he could only have been billed had he been made aware and made himself trustworthy to Seth Fishman and billed directly from eQuestology for the Holy Grail in sports, as Seth Fishman called it, BB3, undetectable. How would I know what BB3 is, or why would I question it? That's a flat out lie on the record in a DRF harness story, February 15th, 2024. So we're going to leave it at that. These are all the things that I think Mr. Cohen had missed. It might have changed the way he kind of leans to it by saying, I think they need to settle. Actually, I think Howard Taylor needs to either settle or drop the suit. But cat's already out of the bag. It's much bigger than that defamation lawsuit. Now, he also goes on to talk about justice is delayed. Defending a new scope of licensing investigations. He goes on to say, to talk about what HICE has been doing. The USTA is trying to fill the regulatory vacuum in a fashion that is perhaps the most persuasive proof yet that harness racing needs to embrace the stringent integrity provisions of HISA. What he's saying is it's obvious that the USTA can't do the job. I think we all realize it's obvious that the USTA and the commissions can't do the job because A, they can't do the job, and B, they won't do the job. Why are we still waiting for Nick DeVita to be banned by the USTA as detrimental to harness racing? The wiretaps are out there. The wiretap transcripts are out there. The 52 bottles purchase in the Who Got By report for Nick DeVita is out there. The other wiretap using his connection from somebody in his barn, that different voice is in there. I mean, what else do you need? But he goes on to talk about how Howard Taylor is suing Diamond Creek. I'm sorry. The conflicts of interest raised by, Howard Taylor, Diamond Creek, Adam Bowden. And it's amazing how much Howard Taylor points fingers at everybody else, isn't it? He goes on to say that this is why USTA President Russell Williams found it necessary to chime in on the topic last week. Well, you've done nothing, Russell, but I think you chiming in on accusing other breeding farms of nefarious activities, whether they're right or wrong, and who we're talking about now. Now, Howard Taylor, who defended Nick Sarek in 2018, is now admonishing Diamond Creek for the involvement that they've had with Nick Sarek in purchasing horses while he's in the pokey, right? Play both sides of the fence, don't you? Now he goes on and says, justice delayed is often justice denied. Now he brings up the Dave Briggs HRU article from last week where Mr. Gural goes off about how he banned Gillis long before everybody else, which is, you did. Okay. Same way that you banned Howard Taylor. Yes, but you also banned a lot of other people for the same thing and let them back in. But that's a different argument. But why the delay in the Gillis thing when the wiretaps were out there last year? Not until it was made public and they couldn't hide from it anymore did they act on it. And it took AGCO doing it first. But he goes on to talk about that. We all know. But at the end, and this is where I'm going to end this, I think it's funny. He talks about Mark Ford. Mark, I don't care if you're out there. You've been exposed, dude. Everybody knows it. We've all known it for years. It's been accepted. Nobody's had any leverage to do anything about it, but he says the same thing that we said. Yeah, he didn't know. He didn't know what Gillis was doing. I find it disgusting, whatever it was. He also didn't know that Josh Marks was banned by the USTA when you had him at your farm in the lower barn in 2017 when he was training Even Horses for You, Mr. Ford, as well as Howard Taylor, while Buzzy Schulte was down as the Beard, in direct conflict with every code of ethic as to how a USTA director is supposed to conduct themselves. But you still have your position. Good job, Russell Williams, again. You might be the biggest hypocrite in the history of harness racing at least, if not out of all the people who have served as president of the United States Trotting Association, I think you're a grandson of Lawrence B. Shepard, who would be rolling in his fucking grave if he knew what you were doing. I don't want to hear the excuses about what you got going on at home. Everybody has issues in life. But to know all this and to not move on it yet, I hope you're doing something, that he should at least be stripped of his position as a District 8 director for defying the bylaws and the ethics of the United States Trotting Association. It's a slap in the face to everybody that ever did anything positive to build the sport to where it used to be. And now look at what it is. What you've done, your lack of any type of accountability, integrity, is reflected in what's happening to this. What are we down? 14% this year in handles, almost 9% per race. And everybody's on welfare. And you're doing nothing. Absolutely nothing to try to change the perception of this industry to the public that really isn't paying attention anyway. But Andrew Cohen goes on to say about the Gillis thing. He goes, Ford owns Covered Bridge, a Gillis trainee who won the PEI Gold Cup, blah, 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 2 years in a row. Blah, blah, blah. But he says, Ford told the Canadian Broadcasting Company last week that the first he heard of Gillis's trouble was when Ontario regulators announced the suspension. Was Ford not paying attention when Gural kicked Gillis out of New Jersey's main harness racing track? I find that hard to believe. You nailed it, obviously. And this is, again, remember, the president of the SBOANJ, I don't know. USTA director, District 8, I don't know, welcomed and supported Josh Marks at his farm while he was banned by the USTA in 2017. I don't know. Everything's I don't know. I don't know isn't going to work anymore, Mark. So that's the way we're going to leave it. What do they say? You don't know? Well, fuck around, find out. Then you'll know.